You open your banking app on a Tuesday night. The numbers look fine, sort of. Not bad, not great, just stuck. You scroll through the last month of spending. Nothing crazy, nothing reckless. So why does your gut feel tight? You're 34, or 36, or 38. You make more than you did 5 years ago. But somehow you feel further behind. And you can't figure out exactly when that started. Here's the quiet truth almost no one says out loud. Most men in their 30s are not failing financially. They are drifting. Drifting is worse than failing. Failing is loud, obvious, and forces a decision. Drifting just slowly steals years while everything looks fine. You earn more, but your savings rate barely moved. You upgraded your life, but your net worth feels flat. That gap is the trap. It is called lifestyle creep, but that name is too soft. What is really happening is silent compounding in the wrong direction. Every raise gets absorbed within 30 days. The car payment, the rent bump, the streaming stack, the food delivery habit, none of it feels like luxury. That is the problem. The trap doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like a normal life that simply costs what it costs. Meanwhile, the math is moving without you. A 35-year-old who saves nothing this decade loses roughly 2 decades of compounding power, not one. Because the dollars you save in your 30s do the heaviest lifting of your entire life. They have 30 years to grow. The dollars you save in your 50s barely have 10. This is the part that quietly haunts men at 45. Not that they didn't save, that they didn't save when it mattered most. You look at your 401k balance. Maybe it says 40,000, maybe 90, maybe 180. The honest range for men your age sits wider than people admit. Some have nothing, some have 300,000, most are somewhere between 60 and 150. And almost none of them feel okay about it. Even the ones with the bigger numbers feel behind. That is the second trap. Because the real game in your 30s is not your balance. It is your savings rate as a percentage of income. That number tells the future. A man saving 5% at 38 is in trouble, no matter how much he earns. A man saving 20% at 32 is quietly building a different life. You probably already know your number, or you suspect it, and that suspicion is why you clicked this video. Let's name the third trap, the peer comparison loop. You see a friend buy a house. Another one posts a vacation. A coworker mentions his new car like it is nothing. You start running silent math in your head. How are they affording this? Did I miss something? Am I behind? Here's what you are not seeing. Most of them are leveraged to the edge. The house has 30 more years on it. The car is a 6-year loan. The vacation went on a card. The men in their 30s who are the most successful are often the ones bleeding the fastest. You are comparing your bank account to their performance. That comparison is the single most expensive habit of this decade. It pushes good men into bad decisions just to keep up with people who are also drowning. The healthy version of ambition looks boring. It looks like a man who drives a 5-year-old car, maxes his retirement accounts, and quietly buys index funds while his neighbors talk about their boat. The trap version looks impressive on a Saturday and terrifying on a Sunday night. One builds a man, the other rents him a costume. Let me pause here for a moment. If any of this is landing, I want you to do something simple. Drop a comment and tell me where you actually are, not what you wish, not what you project, where you really are at 32, 36, 39. Are you saving aggressively or just surviving the month? Is your number higher than you expected or quieter than you would admit out loud? Someone else watching this video is sitting in the exact same chair you are sitting in right now. Your honesty might be the thing that wakes him up. And if you want me to keep making videos that say the things most channels avoid, that small comment is how this work continues. Now let's keep going. The fourth trap is the most invisible one. It is the identity trap. Somewhere in your late 20s, you built a story about who you are. The provider, the high earner, the guy who figured it out, the one who doesn't worry about money. That story now costs you money every single month because you spend to protect the identity, not the life. You pick up the check. You upgrade the hotel. You don't ask about the price. You tip like a man who has more than he does. None of these things are wrong on their own. Together, they quietly erase your future self to protect your current image. The advanced layer almost nobody talks about is this: men in their 30s don't have a money problem. They have an identity funding problem. Your spending is not really about goods. It is about staying the man you told everyone you became, and that man is expensive to maintain. The fix is not budgeting. Budgeting fails because it attacks the symptom. The fix is rewriting the identity slowly, on purpose. You start telling yourself a different story. The man who waits, the man who builds, the man whose calm is louder than his car. That shift is worth more than any raise, because a man with a stable identity stops bleeding money to prove things to people who weren't even watching. Now look at the fifth trap, the retirement math denial. Most men your age have never run the real numbers, not the lazy ones, the real ones. If you want to retire at 65 with roughly the same lifestyle you have now, the rough benchmark is somewhere around 10 to 12 times your annual spending saved. If you spend $80,000 a year, you need close to $1 million. If you spend $150,000, you need closer to 1.8. Most 35-year-olds quietly know they are not on that track. They just refuse to do the multiplication. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you see it, you have to act. Here is the part that flips the panic into power. You still have time, more time than the men who will watch a similar video at 48. A man who turns the corner at 35 and saves 20% of his income for the next 30 years usually retires comfortably, not lavishly, comfortably. That word matters. Comfort is the actual goal. Most men chase rich and end up neither rich nor free. The trap version of wealth is loud, leveraged, and fragile. The healthy version is quiet, paid for, and durable. You are not behind because you didn't earn enough. You are behind because no one ever told you the rules clearly enough to follow. The schools didn't teach it. Your father may not have known it. Your friends are pretending. Your feed is lying. So you've been running a marathon nobody handed you a map for. That is not a character flaw. That is a setup. But starting today, the map is yours, and the next 10 years of your life are still completely unwritten. A man who corrects course at 36 lives a different life at 56 than a man who keeps drifting. The gap is not skill, it is direction. Direction is just a series of small, almost boring choices. Save the raise, skip the upgrade, automate the investment, repeat for 10 years. That formula is so simple it sounds like a joke. It is not a joke, it is the entire game. The men who win this decade are not smarter. They are quieter. They make fewer announcements and more deposits. They drive cars that don't impress anyone. They live in houses below what they could afford. They look ordinary on the outside and run deep on the inside. That is the man worth becoming, not the loud one. The one whose 40s feel lighter than his 30s. So if any part of this hit you in the chest tonight, do me a small favor before you leave. Tap the like button so this reaches another man who needed to hear it tonight. He is out there, sitting in the same quiet chair you are. Subscribe and turn on the bell so the next video finds you when it drops. We go deeper every week into the things no one says out loud about money, men, and the years that matter most. And in the comments, tell me which trap hit hardest: the lifestyle creep, the peer loop, the identity spend, the retirement math denial, whichever one made you pause. Thank you for sitting with this. Thank you for doing the inner work most men avoid until it is too late to undo. The fact that you watched this far means you are not actually behind. You're just now choosing to look. That is the entire turning point. In the next video, we are going to break down what the average 45-year-old has actually saved and why that number is not what you've been told. You will want to see that one before you make another major financial move. Because the men who win this decade are the ones who stop drifting tonight. And tonight, you just stop drifting.